Once a woman was suffering through a difficult labor alone, when the Zwerg that lived underneath her home appeared and served as her midwife, easing her pain and helping her give birth. This little memoret of a fairy living underneath a German lady's home, who has clearly come to care about her, illustrates perhaps the most important thing about the fairies. They are humanity's neighbors. Garden gnomes, or Gartenzwerg, as they are known in Germany, from which they come, were named because they didn't live in some distant land, but because they frequently inhabited our gardens. Here, Zwerg could bless crops to grow in abundance, or could steal peas, as they so frequently did. In Wilstermarsch, Germany, every morning the housemaids would spill milk for the underground people. Beer and crumbs from the table were also offered to them in a similar way. If the milk wasn't offered, the underground people would steal it. People wanted them to be happy, for everywhere they went they caused the beer brewed better. In Alversdorf, the underground people would steal pots and kettles and cause other mischiefs, yet they also blessed people's cattle to never become sick. They also left magical pots for people, which caused the seeds in them to grow faster, milk gathered in them to churn richer, and the water held in them to make those who drank from them healthier. It makes sense that humans would share their food with the Zwerg, for fairies needed human food. Of course, as with most fairies, the Zwerg needed human food and ovens and utensils as well. In one story, a Zwerg would frequently borrow a pot from a farmer. Once, when she came to borrow the pot to boil some potatoes, the farmer noticed that she was pregnant and mentioned he would be interested in standing godfather for her baby. Later, the Zwerg's husband came and formally asked the farmer to be the godfather. The farmer then grew nervous about the prospect of being a fairy's godfather and went to the pastor for counsel. The pastor told him that he had to stand godfather, since one couldn't rescind the offer to do so. So the farmer went to the baptism of the baby Zwerg and the feast in the mountain. As he was leaving, the Zwerg asked him to look behind the door, where he found garbage, which they asked him to sweep up and carry home with him. Annoyed, he did so, but to his joy he discovered that the garbage had turned into gold when he got home. The Zwerg gave many blessings to people in return for food and drink that they shared, yet because they were our neighbors, they also might share food with people. It was common for a man to be plowing at the edge of his field in the middle of nowhere when he smelled some delicious cakes being cooked. He commented on how much he would enjoy those cakes, and when he plowed back to the same spot, he found a plate with an offering of the cakes upon them, which he ate, and thanked the Zwerg for the meal. I find these tales of humans interacting with fairies like neighbors absolutely enchanting. A few final notes. The Zwerg could be mischievous and even dangerous. However, since we are talking specifically about the garden gnomes, that will have to wait for a different video. In addition to gnome, Zwerg is often translated into dwarf in English, as in Snow White and the Seven Zwerg. The Zwerg's red hats are what they used to turn invisible, so people could wave sticks around while they were stealing their peas in order to knock their hats off and see them. The Zwerg are a lot more complex than I have dealt with here, and I will be discussing them further as they relate to Snow White as well as other things in future videos.